We're returning you back now to Abuja, where the town hall meeting concerning INEC and its preparedness to continue with the elections in the 2015 elections is still on the way. We do apologize for cutting in on that transmission, but we're back now and we're heading back to Abuja, where the town hall meeting is happening live.
And authentication. Between verification and authentication is optimal average of 10 seconds. We checked that during our last mock demonstration. Unless where a person has an issue of, okay, wash your hands, do this and that. But if the card reader had been configured particularly to a particular polling unit, and you come and do the accreditation, that's reading the card, and authentication based on our own report, averagely between 10 seconds, some up to 20 seconds. It doesn't mean that somebody, because we wanted to verify, wanted to be sure that the fingerprint is there, could take up to 1 to 2 minutes. But when you look at all our data, we find that time was not an issue. But I must also say something. Edo State was mentioned that in some local government cards has not been there. Please, I need to inform. We have two types of cards. The cards that were done in 2011, for those 3 to 4 local government in Edo, which I'm aware, they have received their 2011 cards. The cards that were remaining in CVRs, and as I speak with you, they are picking their cards on Wednesday from our office here, who must have been printed, for the continuous voter registration for those 4 local governments. In terms of Lagos, for that Mwabune called, I can assure you that as of this weekend, Lagos have collected almost all, except very few. So within this week, I don't think Mwabune may have to send this kind of information. Another one is JOS. We had issue with JOS North and all this, but as I speak with you, they have also collected about 60 to 70 and are coming within the next 2 days to collect the old cards for distribution. The Honorable Chairman has answered the Medigui issue, which they are also collecting this week. In terms of Oyo is a situation where I need to inform. Oyo do not have much cards to collect, very few, maybe that affected those polling units. As I speak to you, Oyo State, in all totality left, is only 12,000 cards, and they're picking all of them within the next two days. So I just said, let me use this opportunity of this question to also get specific to all the questions.
But you are responsible for the ICT part of it.
I am the director of ICT.
Yes. We've had lots of concerns around the card readers.
Yes.
How long does it last? Because the mock test recently conducted by INEC showed that 2 hours to the process, the batteries were dying. Are there standby batteries that will sustain the process while the time for accreditation is ongoing?
Okay, interestingly, there was also the 5th objective in when we did our mock demonstration. What the Honorable Chairman did is the broad objective. There are other sub-objectives. First, to check the battery. And I can tell you authoritatively, when you bring out the card reader without charging it, it starts with 74%. When you charge it, it gives you about 98 to 99% to 100%. You know the result we got? All the states that charged those batteries, as of 1:30, 2 o'clock, the battery level was between 74 to 85% in our records. However, we also know at Ebony, they took the card reader without charging it, and it was 74%. When you do not charge the card reader, you kept it not too long. When you bring it out and put it, it gives you 74%. They took it to the field like that, which was a mistake. And as of 2:30, the card reader was still showing between 12 to 15%. So it became clear that the card reader, once it's fully charged, stays or even up to 6 to 7, 8 p.m. still on about 45%. These are recorded, table was used. So battery was not an issue as we speak now.
What are the chances that in rural communities without electricity, those cards can be charged by the ad hoc staff?
Okay, let me say this. We have a charging system that we have organized to be done at the ward system, ward centers. What it means is that there's a situation when we go for election, there's a sleepover. So before moving to the polling unit, we charge all the carrier. the battery stays between 12 to 14 hours. So we charge it at the ward level before moving to the polling unit. So every ward, including rural area, will prepare a place we call Registration Area Center, which is called RAC. In that RAC, every charging, every preparation, both in terms of taking the ballot paper to the polling unit, in terms of ballot box, and also the card reader, and all things that are left, which moves out as early as possible. But people sleep over to make sure everything is ready for the next day. So whether rural areas or not, we are sure of the battery.
Professor, I have a question for you. The taxi driver that took me from the airport for this event was complaining bitterly that he went through pains just to get his PVC. He went on to say that he had to bribe 4 days after. And I know you said something a while ago about sanctioning your staff about misconduct. Is there nothing else that can really be done to ensure that Nigerians don't have to go through the pains of bribing to get their PVCs? An extra measure, sort of.
No, it's regrettable if anybody had to bribe to get his card. Certainly, it's wrong. We will sanction anybody if we have information about that. But what can we do in order to improve the level of distribution of the cards? I think it is important that we recognize some of the systemic challenges we have. You know, we know in other countries, you can produce cards and you can send them to people through mail. And these cards can get to them, you know, there is no concern about, what do you call it, people waylaying them and taking them. In Nigeria, regrettably, embarrassingly, we don't have an effective mail system through which you can send cards to all people who have registered. And the alternative is to say, okay, since you can't send to everybody, to make it easier for every registered person to collect, let a husband collect for his wife, let a son collect for his father, and so on, which is collection by proxy. If you do it again in our own context, you can almost predict the result. You know, some people will go and organize and collect these cards, you know, and thinking that they can use them. So all we have done is to develop a methodology for the distribution of the cards that would ensure that the actual registered person is the person who eventually collects his or her card. You know, unfortunately, again, in our own context, it's a systemic challenge. You know, once there are difficulties, people tend to exploit them. So is it conceivable that some staff are collecting bribe? Obviously, it is wrong if anybody does that, and if we get any information about that, we will deal with them. It's a criminal offense. It's very, very clear.
Okay, Prof, let's try and get as many people in the hall to participate. So I'm going to change the formula a little bit. We're going to ask people to ask at least 2-3 questions before we come back to the people on stage. And I'll start from the lady in pink in front, then I'll go to the man behind her, and then I'll go to this side to the gentleman that is sitting next to the lady in the gray jacket. So we do 3, get them to talk, and then we'll take another 3. I will try and get as many people in as possible. Please don't forget to tell us who you are and the organization you represent, if any.
My name is Miro Mandara, and I'm a registered Nigerian voter. Prof, thank you very much. Considering that you attempted to increase polling booths at some stage, polling sites, and it was rejected, and from your explanation, it was meant to ease the time that it would take for voters to be able to register. Now, with what you have, are you, one, planning to, in the same voters registration point, have 2-3 card readers so that people can really vote? If not, how long do we need to prepare and vote, to wait? Some of us are willing to wait 7 days in that place. So should we budget 7 days or 2 days or 3 days?
Thank you.
Thank you, Prof. My name is Ikechukwu Amechi. I'm a journalist. I write for a newspaper called The Niche. Prof, I am still worried, despite all the assurances you've given us today about INEC being prepared. And I'm worried because I know what happened in 2011. I remember on the eve of the National Assembly election in 2011, you did issue a press release where you assured Nigerians, just like you've done today again, that INEC was prepared. I remember Wednesday to the Saturday when the election was supposed to be conducted, you also met with some senior editors in Abuja, where you also assured them that everything was ready. I remember a week before the week the election was supposed to be conducted, you attended the same Council of State meeting as you did last month, and you assured everybody that everything was ready. On the morning of the election day, you now address a press conference. We found out that even essential materials as essential as result sheets, were not there. And I'm going to quote you. You said in the press conference you addressed, the result sheets are central to the elections and their integrity. Accordingly, in many places, our officials have not reported at the polling units, making it now difficult to implement the modified open ballot procedure that we have adopted. Not only do we have to enter the results in the sheets, the number of accredited voters is also to be entered in the result sheets. You knew that the result sheets were not available when you gave all these assurances that INEC was ready. This has again happened now because no matter how much we try to say security and everything, with what is going on now, INEC was not prepared for the election on February 14th. My question is, Prof, why is it difficult? When you have difficulties, why don't you level up with Nigerians and say, these are the difficulties we are having? And if Nigerians should excuse you for the problems we had in 2011, considering the fact that you only came in June 2010, 4 years down the road, we knew that elections were going to be conducted in 2015, like you said. Why are we still having all these problems even till today?
Okay, let's take the third question and then we'll let the professor. Please get the mic to the gentleman in the blue tie. Down here, down the second row. Thank you. Yes.
Hi, thank you. Thank you. Also a question for Professor Jega. It's a short question.
Yeah, could you tell us who you are?
Sorry. Daniel Magnovsky. I'm a reporter with Bloomberg News here in Abuja. Has the security situation in Nigeria improved sufficiently since the postponement to actually hold peaceful elections? Thank you.
So 3 questions. Well, just to recap, questions about the duration of the election process itself and whether people need